Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to begin again with the school superintendent questions. At the very beginning, we're going to go from left to right and introduce yourself for 30 seconds, please.
Good evening, I'm Tracy Moses. I am 38 years old. I want to emphasize that word, old. I have two children in the school district. I have Ethan, who is a junior, and Mason, who is a sixth grader. They attend both schools. I have a bachelor's degree from Florida State University, and I have been a teacher since 2002. I was lucky enough to get hired right out of college, and education is my passion in life. And I have a vested interest in this office. My two boys go to school, and I am invested. I've always been a strong advocate for education and will continue to do so.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I am Stephanie House-Jones, and of course I am a candidate for Superintendent of Franklin County Schools. I have a vision to create a school district that our students, parents, faculty, and staff, as well as our community, can be proud of. I've developed a three-phased plan to include a superintendent's task force that will restore accountability back to our community, develop meaningful curriculum for our low socioeconomic students, and perfect what we already have now for our advanced students, as well as create an environment for our students, faculty, and staff to enjoy being a part of. I believe together we can do this. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Robert Murray. I'm from Carabel. I graduated from Carabel High School in 1980. I've been a deputy sheriff with the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. I taught the DARE program in all the schools at the time. We had, including ABC, Brown, Carabel, and Apalachicola. I've raised two kids. One works at the prison. Where I'm working right now, I've got one fixing to go to Trinity Baptist College in the fall and play baseball.
My name's Homer McMillan. Most folks call me Mac. If you saw me in Carabel when I was coming up, you called me Little Mac. Somebody say amen right there. But I want you to think one thing tonight. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you got. We've got to change. We can transform our school system to be a model of rural Florida education by emphasizing excellence, accountability, and character. God bless.
Good evening. My name is Franklin L. Stevens. L is for Lee. I'm a graduate of Ohio State University, master's degree in education, 60 graduate hours beyond that to be able to earn the superintendent, director, and supervisor certificates. I was principal at Apalachicola High School for 5 years. I'm the person that brought National Honor Society to this county. It was never here before that. I can do a lot of things, and I'll talk about this evening, tell you how we're going to improve our school system. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Sue Summers, and I'd like to start by thanking the Republican Committee for this wonderful event. It gives us a chance to really show what our talents are and what our abilities are and what we offer to Franklin County. And what I offer, I feel, is the experience that Franklin County needs now at this point to move forward and be the excellent school district that it has the potential to be. I have been in education 35 years, from a classroom teacher all the way up to a superintendent of schools. And I worked at the Florida Department of Education for a while. And I thank you for being here tonight.
This line of questioning will be just a little bit different. We are going to ask each candidate 3 questions continuously. Ms. Moses, would you like to start? The first question is, as superintendent, will you have an open door policy? If yes, please explain what that would look like. If the answer is no, please explain why.
Absolutely open door. As a parent, I don't feel like there has been an open door policy. I have had issues with my own child, and never gotten phone calls back. And that is unacceptable to me, not only as a parent, but also a community member. And open door policy is just that. If you say the community is welcome, there shouldn't be resistance to come in. We need everybody working together to make our district successful.
Question number 2. What means will you use to determine how your staff at all levels is performing?
That's really simple. Data first and foremost. If the students aren't performing on grade level, then we need to reevaluate instruction. We need to reevaluate professional development. And we also need to look at teachers teaching out of field. That to me is a very big problem. If you are not certified in your field, then I don't know that you have the expertise to teach at that grade level or what the curriculum and content would be. So evaluating on all levels, student learning, teacher success, and I also feel like attendance, staff attendance, and student attendance are major in that also.
Your third and last question, student absenteeism as well as faculty absenteeism is extremely unacceptably high. What will you do to increase the attendance of both students and faculty?
Well, our school district and our school board has great policy. It is time for us to enforce those policies to the extent of the law. Okay, my child will be 16 next year. If he's not coming to school, guess what? We can revoke his driver's license at all cost. I don't care what it is. It is time for us to say that's not how we do business in Franklin County. Your children are required to be in school. As far as staff absenteeism, I have no tolerance for that. I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher for 15 years. I go to work every day. There are times I shouldn't have been at work, probably. Students cannot learn if we don't have quality instruction in our classrooms. So if we have staff with chronic absenteeism, we need to get to the root of it. And eventually, that may even involve termination.
Ms. Jones, would you please tell us why you're running for the office of school superintendent and what do you believe sets you apart from the other candidates?
Oh my, what an excellent question. I'm running for school superintendent because as a high school teacher, I've seen all too many times the frustration on our students' faces with the lack of curriculum that they're interested in, with the lack of administration enforcing the policies that we have put in place. And I feel that if I'm elected superintendent, what would set me apart is that I have a clear vision. I didn't decide in August to run for superintendent. I've been thinking about this for a while. I've developed a plan. It's a 3-phased plan. It has an 18-month time frame to gain real measurable results to deal with our discipline problem, our truancy problem, and to institute vocational programs that our students want, but they're going to other counties to receive. We've talked about it and talked about it, but now it's time to act. I admire Mr. Hand when he said, we can't talk anymore. Thank you.
What is your strategy to reduce Franklin County's dropout rate and what measures will you put into place to reduce it?
Well, first we need to recognize that the dropout rate that was publicized in the paper, we need to know that there was some misreporting, not on David's part, I mean reporting to the state with regards to our actual numbers. We contracted that position out, and the person who handled it did not accurately report some of that information. But in order to reduce the dropout rate, we need to recognize the reasons why they're dropping out. We need to identify those at-risk students much earlier than the time then they decide to give up. 8th and 9th grade, we need to start taking a look. Why are they absent so much? Why are they contemplating this? If they're in with teachers that they trust, they're already vocalizing their desire to do this. And that's the time for us to step in and really apply that MTSS structure and find out what we can do to help them.
The student absenteeism as well as faculty absenteeism is unacceptably high. What will you do to increase the attendance of both faculty and students?
Let me address students first. Recently, our school board, and I commend them, held 3 different workshops to address the critical issues facing our school, discipline and attendance being 2 of the biggest. I posed a question, and I said, are we really taking these chronic truancy problems to court? And the answer was, we took 15 cases this year. You could have taken 15 cases from my student load alone. So what we need to do is to allow our attendance officer to act as a truancy officer and go out and find these children and get them to school. Every other county does this. Why are we going to try and reinvent the wheel? We need to do the same thing that they're finding success with. And as far as staff absences, I think once we get the discipline problem under control, we won't see as many staff absences. I think that we have really taken our staff and what they've had to deal with for granted. Thank you.
Mr. Murray, as a superintendent, will you have an open door policy?
Absolutely.
If yes, explain what it looks like.
I'll tell you what it looks like. You better get in touch with me if you need to. You cannot solve problems without communication. And my phone number will be email. I'll make sure my staff knows I need to get every message, every phone call. I'm not going to be hiding behind no door. In fact, I want to put glass windows in the office if I can. I'm not going to hide behind nothing. I want to do everything right above board. But my phone number, if my personal phone number, if I have to, will make it to where you can talk to me about your child and find out what's going on, because I'm sure we can sit down and come to an agreement and make something work.
What means will you use to determine how your staff at all levels is performing?
Data, they've already mentioned that a lot of time, but I'm going to go in the classroom and see what they're doing. You're not going to know that person until you go sit under them, until you look them in the face and see what they're doing. You're going to know what they're doing because somebody's going to tell you, you need to check this out. Now, sometimes that ain't always, somebody may not like that person, but you'll figure that out. But you're going to have to watch them, see what they're doing. Look at what they're producing. My wife's been a pre-K teacher for a while now. She encountered a student the other day that couldn't do what, when he left her class, he couldn't do what he could do there. And so she's upset because now he's going into the 1st or 2nd grade and he's fell behind. Somebody needs to address that problem, and I don't know who told him. I don't know who the teacher was. That's not here nor there right now. But if you don't go visit the classes, you don't be hands-on. Guys, I don't mind working. I've worked hard all my life. This won't be no different.
What is your strategy to reduce Franklin County's dropout rate, and what measures will you put into place to reduce it?
The dropout rate is a symptom of another problem. We've got to go back and see what the problem. We've got to catch these kids before they walk across with that certificate of completion. I had a son do that. He went on and got his GED, and he's fine, but that's the type of child he was. But we got to catch this thing early, and you got to make these children your personal. You've got to they're got to be personal to you. You've got to love this child through school as much or more than his parents love him, because sometimes the parents don't care. So if we want to get Franklin County's rate up, we've got to take a personal interest in these children. And if it takes me making a personal interest in these children, I'll go to their parents' house, I'll spend some time with them, I'll spend some time with the child, with the teacher, find out where the breakdown is, but you're going to have to do that early. It's not going to happen. You're not going to save that child at the 12th grade level or at the 10th grade level, whenever they're allowed to leave. We're going to have to watch them personally.
Mr. McMillan. Question number 1. As superintendent, will you have an open door policy? If yes, explain what it looks like. If no, explain why.
In the past, as a chief executive officer, as an attorney, as a minister, and as a leader in an educational environment, I've always had an open door policy. The way that's implemented is I set deadlines for myself for the return of email messages. I make channels of communication open beyond just walking in my door. We live in a modern era. I've been told as an attorney, and I've practiced principally criminal defense law. I love that. I love working with juveniles particularly. I've been told that this was not wise, but I've always given my personal cell phone number to every one of my clients. I've spent 30 years being on duty 24/7, and I'm ready to answer the phone, as Ms. Clinton says, at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Your second question is, please tell us why you are running for the office of school superintendent, and what do you believe sets you apart from the other candidates?
I'm running for superintendent of schools because over time, I began to understand that we had become satisfied with a culture of mediocrity. That does not mean that individuals in our school system don't do a stellar job in their role. We have administrators, faculty, staff, and students that do a great job. But several years ago, I drove by our marquee at our consolidated school, and it indicated we are a B school. As the superintendent of schools of Franklin County, you will never see me brag on being second place. We've got to set an atmosphere of excellence, accountability, and character. And that's what I'll do as your superintendent of schools.
Student absenteeism as well as faculty absenteeism is unacceptably high. What will you do to increase the attendance of both students and faculty?
In the legal world as well as the educational world, the movement philosophically, as we'd say in law, is toward restorative justice. And what that means is you don't look to punish behaviors except where punishment is helpful in bringing a positive outcome. Putting goals in place, making sure that policies and procedures are adhered to, that is all important. But when you have a problem with absenteeism in a student or an administrator, faculty, or staff, it's a people problem, it's a process problem, or it's a product problem. And when you drill down and look at the why as opposed to the what, you're able to build a system that helps those professionals and helps those pupils learn that this is the place of excellence and this is where I want to be. Until we develop that culture, we will not succeed in reducing truancy nor professional absences.
Mr. Stevens, what means will you use to determine how your staff at all levels is performing?
Basically, it gets right down to the teacher. I don't care, I'm not trying to step on any toes. But if the teacher is not teaching, the students are not learning. And if the students are not learning, and they're just sitting there, or the teacher's on the cell phone, or on their computer, or walking around in a daze, and the students are doing nothing, they're going to quit studying, they're going to quit learning, and that is a problem. So basically, I say we have to get our school, the way we're delivering our education to the student needs to be changed. And once the teacher starts getting in the groove of the way it should be taught, they're happier. And we must make a change in the way the classroom is conducted.
Please tell us why you are running for the office of school superintendent, and what do you believe sets you apart from the other candidates?
Basically, when I see the scores that this school system is receiving, it tells me there's a serious problem here in Franklin County. If we do not make that change, our school is going to continue to spiral down into where it's at today, even lower. We have a big drive to send our students to higher education. But and so how many go into higher education? Statistically, they say about 40%, maybe 45% go into college. What are we doing for the other 45 or 55 or 60% of the students? Maybe that's why they're not coming to school. Maybe they're not getting taught or being taught what they need to have taught to them. I plan to make a change and put more technical, vocational education and start at a lower level where the students need to know where they're going to get to and what they're going to have to get there. And then they'll study. They'll be there because they want to learn.
As superintendent, will you have an open door policy? If yes, please explain what that would look like. If no, please explain why not.
Yes, I will have an open door policy, and I always have. I have been a high school principal 15 years, director of a Haney Technical Center. I have conducted many, many open door policies. My policy in working this is I want to know why the people are coming in, what do they have to talk about ahead of time. So I can have researched what the problem they're going to address is, what we in the school are doing in reference to that, and do we need to make changes? Or, in other words, be prepared so I can do a good job when the interview comes along. When they come in, I'll listen to their problem very carefully. I'll make notes as they talk. I won't interrupt them. I'll let them finish why they're in there. Then I will answer them according to the research that I have done, and they'll leave the school feeling they've been well taken care of, and the problem will be solved.
Ms. Summers, please tell us why you're running for the office of school superintendent, and what do you believe sets you apart from the other candidates?
I'm running for superintendent of schools here in Franklin County because I feel like that Franklin County is in a position to become an A school. We've got multiple policies in place. We have better procedures in place. We are beginning to use that data to really make informed decisions about attendance and discipline and instructional strategies. And so I feel like I'm the person with the experience. I think if you go look at one of my flyers out there, you'll see that Liberty County was an A district and a B district when I was there. We've never dropped below a B when I was superintendent, and we moved scores up because we strategically looked at the data, provided the professional development the teachers needed to provide the instruction that was meaningful and had a purposeful impact on our students' learning.
What means will you use to determine how your staff at all levels is performing?
We have evaluation systems in place. The last 2 years, they have really been implemented much more rigorously than they had been in the past. I believe in evaluation. I believe it's an honest and fair way to determine whether an individual is meeting the needs and the expectations of the job of which they've been assigned. There's no other way to do it. You can't do it based on personality or, she's my friend, or, she's fun to be around. It's got to be based on those job expectations that are outlined in the job description for each individual, from a custodian, bus driver, all the way up to directors at the district office. We have an evaluation system in place.
As superintendent, will you have an open door policy? If yes, explain what it looks like. If no, please explain why not.
I will absolutely have an open door policy. And if I'm not in my office, you'll find me at one of the schools. That's pretty much always been my policy. If you pick up my flyer, you'll have my cell phone number. And please feel free to call me. We can't solve the problems if we don't know what the problem is. And sometimes we don't realize that it's a problem because it's impacting your child. And we know that when it impacts your child, it is very personal, it is very important, and it needs to be addressed immediately. And you can call me. You can come see me. Again, my door will always be open. I've always welcomed folks to come in and talk, to explain to me what's going on. And sometimes I have to say, we can't do that. But let me tell you why we can't do that. And it's not because it's your child. We can't do it for any child because there's a statute or there's a law or there's policy that doesn't allow us to do that. Thank you.